Hi, James. I'm Sam from Myotherapy, and we're here today with James. Thank you so much for giving us your time to come and talk to us about your life as an athlete, as a coach, and as a businessman and a family man.
And a human.
Yes. So we probably met over 15 years ago, where I was treating you.
You did. Yep. We met at the Essendon Football Club at least 15 years ago when I was playing at Essendon, and you came along to treat several of the players, me being one of them.
Yep.
And it's been a long journey with the two of us, and seen each other go in different directions. So, wonderful time.
And James, obviously, as a athlete, you obviously used myotherapy to help you through. So could you mind just explaining how you used myotherapy in your career, and what benefits and
Yeah, a number of ways. I mean, firstly, interesting, the cycle of an athlete through a week, or a footballer. You play on a Saturday and very sore early on the week, and the myotherapy early in the week was all about trying to reduce that soreness and work out which part of your body needed work. And initially we just called it massage or a rub down. We did a rub down, and then it went from a rub down to masseurs, and then the myotherapist came in, and you being one of the first myotherapists to come in. But so the whole industry has changed. But the treatment on the body definitely early in the week, and then I always tried to get 2 sessions with yourself or whoever was at the club. And come into your practice, because I just found that the first session was really cleaning the body out and getting rid of a lot of the toxins and the soreness, and the second body was more preparing. Second session was preparing the body for elite performance. So I'm definitely one that was a big tick for myotherapy. And the other thing that you did for me was after my big accident with where I sort of fractured my face and had 13 or 14 metal plates put in my face. I was getting a lot of referred pain in my teeth, and thought that I was going to have them taken out. But you discovered that it was all coming from my face, and within an hour, you changed pain that I hadn't been able to get rid of for a couple of years. So I'm a big advocate of myotherapy.
Thank you. So going back to that particular incident, because there's a lot of people out there that have a lot of pain, and probably you were at that point where I think it was that day or the next day you were going to have that tooth removed. Is that right? Yeah? Yeah,
absolutely. So it was acute nerve pain, really. And I was being referred from somewhere in my brain where the plates were just, they were sitting fine, but they were causing me heaps of problems. And I'd been to see the dentist, and he couldn't find any problems with the teeth. And so we'd resolved to have the tooth out in a couple of days. And I spoke to you and came in here, and the pain miraculously removed. Now I know it's not magic. It's not
magic.
Not everything.
There's science behind it. But I suppose for me, a lot of people when they have pain just freak and go from zero to the worst outcome. And it's often really important to understand that the body. There's reasons for everything, and that particular for people that treat the jaw well, that's a referral position, a spot for that particular tooth that was hurting. So I think on that day, I remember it quite clearly. You said to me, I've come in here for my hamstrings, and now you're doing something in my mouth. How's that going to work? So that to me is, just a little for any myotherapists or other therapists listening to this, or any customers that have got pain out there, ask the question, seek some advice before going to that last resort, because there is generally a reason.
Well, it's always a bit frustrating coming in here, because I come in here and say I've got a sore knee, and you end up working on my lat, which gets rid of my knee pain. I can't quite work it out, but there's obviously a science to it.
There's a lot of kids out there, a lot of people playing a lot of sport now, and I'm sure stuff that a lot of their parents wonder, what do they do? What would you suggest or help out with how you recover from your games and how you obviously avoided the soreness and stuff.
I think when I first started playing, recovery was seen as something that someone else does to you, and it's always about getting a rub down or myotherapy or seeing the physio. But ultimately, recovery is you own your own recovery. Sleep is still the most important thing in recovery. Water, hydration, they're the two things to me that are really important, and movement. And you know, slow, gentle movement early within 24 hours of playing, you know, your sport, getting moving, stretching, roller, the foam roller, and then go and see someone after that. But there's, you know, sleep, hydration, obviously diet, you know, good food, a lot of protein early on in rebuilding your muscles, get moving, and then you can go and see someone. But a lot of that work in the first 24 hours needs to be done by yourself so that you can go and see someone after that.
And thank you for saying that, because so often, particularly younger athletes, we find they just don't want to take responsibility for their own tightness and soreness, and they want to, you know, palm it off to somebody else. But you know, if someone of your caliber that can actually tell them to go and do a little bit themselves. So is there anything else in that regard that I know we introduced a lot of balls with you with your feet. Do you want to discuss a bit of that?
The little squeaky balls under the sole of my foot. I used a lot of those later in the week, like after the first 24 hours. I used to find that worked better as a secondary. But there's a lot of Pilates exercises, a lot of even a tennis ball rolling on your foot, balancing on a tennis ball, just to get all your little muscles in your ankle, in your foot, in your calf working. And it's amazing how much better you're prepared for the first training session of the week and then the game if you do those little things, which don't take a lot of time. Walking in the water's great. They're all little activities, but you can actually do a lot of it from your own house very easily to get yourself prepared.
In front of the TV for some of those kids that
you can do it in front of your homework even.
Correct. Another thing that I was wanting to talk to you about was obviously it's no secret you've had, you know, quite a challenging time over your career post being a player as a coach. Just really wanted to, we've recently franchised our business and are helping people with running their own business. And there's a lot of people out there running their own businesses, living life completely stressed out. And what always amazes me when I talk to you is you seem to have this unbelievable resilience about you. No matter what you've been through, right or wrong, who cares? You just keep going, and that's got to be. I just want to talk to you about that for people that might be suffering in their own world. You know.
So it is no secret, you know, that had some issues in football, and the whole Essendon Football Club supplement saga took a big weight on me, and I ended up having a fairly deep, dark, depressive time. You know, and that's nothing to laugh about or be to joke about. But coming through that, it was really a lot about friends and family foremost, particularly my wife. I mean, Tanya is was a very strong person herself, and was very helped out a lot in that area. But ultimately, you know, in your work environment, your life environment, there will be things that come in your life that aren't perfect. I mean, life's not perfect, and there are struggles. And for that individual, whether it's the fact that the client didn't turn up and missed the appointment, as simple as that can be a big issue, or it can be a really ingrained personal point. And I think you've just got to go back to, what am I trying to achieve? Who am I? Am I giving, you know, my best? And if you're giving your best, and you're a good person, you have a good support network around you, you can draw on the inside of, you know, who you are. There are a lot of other, you know, we talk about being healthy and diet and exercise around that, but ultimately for me, it was just not losing sight of who I really was through the really dark times, and knowing that, you know, I am a good person. I made some mistakes, and some of them were quite significant mistakes, but are they going to define me? No. I'm going to be defined by what I want to be defined by. And that's maybe a bit, it's hard for people to tangible. It's not tangible. But if you want to achieve something, like if you're a franchisee or you're a myotherapist, you want to achieve something, put the process in place and follow the process. And I can guarantee you the process will not go in a linear fashion. There'll be ups, there'll be downs. But if you believe in what you're doing, you can definitely get there. Now that's strength of mind, but you do need a good support network around you. You do need people, and some people don't have great families. They don't have that great friendship groups. But go and find someone who'll help you with that, because there are a lot of people who are in your industry, particularly, who are willing to help.
Yeah. Thank you for that. So just a little bit more on that. When you were kind of in your darkest moment, obviously you had family and friends, but sometimes it's still really hard, you know, and we see it a lot in our room as well when we have clients that, you know, they'll often open up to us and let us know what's going on. What advice, is there anything that sort of, that you can remember that you sort of, you know, you had to repeat to yourself, or what you had to do to get up and actually face that next day?
Yeah, it's interesting because, you know, the deepest, darkest part of the depression I was in, it felt like I was at the bottom of a 100-foot well. And every time I try and climb out of there, someone throw another brick, it'd hit me and just smash me back to the ground. And that, you know, that manifests itself in lying in bed, not being able to get out of bed, not being able to move. And your brain thinks, oh, I've got to go for a 10K run, that'll get me going. But that's too hard. 10K to go from 0 to 10K. And first of all, I had amazing unconditional support from my family, from my wife particularly, through all the horror that I was bringing upon her. You know, it wasn't easy for her, and that's people don't understand how hard it is for the other party or other people around you. But I remember talking to someone, and they said, well, why 10K run? Why don't you just go for a 500-metre run? Why don't you just get out of bed and go outside? And so that's the start. So just do something to change the routine. So the first thing for me was to get out of my room and to get outside. Then the next day it was to go for a 5-minute walk. And you're almost tricking the brain into just starting again, because the brain feels like it's stopped. It's deep and it's dark. And so once you get started, the first step's always the hardest, and then the next step's a bit more. And look, before I knew it, you know, a few months down the track, I was back running 4 or 5 kilometres, and then the endorphins are going in your brain. Then you're eating a bit better. Then you're seeing the world in a rosier sense, and you start. Now, I know it's not as easy as that for a lot of people, and for me it wasn't easy, but I had a fairly linear path out of it. But there are some people who really struggle, and if you are around someone like that and treating someone like that, the best thing you can do is listen and offer support, because you know, we're probably going down a path maybe you didn't expect, but depression I think is a selfish illness, but it's real. It's real, and people need help to get out of it.
Okay. No, it's not a path that's strange to us, or me anyway, and a lot of our therapists, we experience this a lot, is people have had chronic pain for a long time, and they come in here and they're desperate for that pain to change, but what they're desperate for is their life to go back to how it was before the pain. And once they're stuck in that pain cycle, then everything sort of starts to you know, it is actual science. Their brain starts to, you know, magnify the pain, and it keeps going. In those times, you know, it's not even about treating the pain anymore in terms of treating that back pain. It's actually about looking at that whole person. And so it's really insightful to, you know, have, you know, you don't often get to talk to someone so closely that's actually literally gone from best footballer in the world, everyone, you know, loving you, to going right back down to then coming, you know, right back up again. And, you know, not a lot of people get through that. So no, I think
it was a tough journey, and it's a journey that I'm not glad I went through, but I learned a lot about myself going through it, because you come out the other side and you do appreciate things a lot more than the other way, and that's a cliche, but it's true, and you find out a hell of a lot about yourself, and I think things like chronic pain they change the way your brain thinks. I know when I went through chronic pain with my jaw and with everything, and it wasn't significant, I could still function. But it was just always there and always there. And to have someone who was concerned about you, who could work with you, who could change that, just makes the day look better. And suddenly you find a new lease of life.
Absolutely. And it's so important because the language we use as well with clients and our friends and family is crucial as well in that, because people come in and they think they're broken or life's, and for us as therapists, we, and probably now you can really relate to this as well. It's not the end of the world, we're going to get through this. And just having somebody say that is really massive, can really change someone's life.
You can.
Just the
and
language.
You spend like you get a genuine hour with someone in a very vulnerable position where they're actually talking to you. It's a unique job, and not every patient's going to trust their therapist and open up. But if patients do, I think it's important that part of your role is to listen, and you're not a psychologist, but you're part of their support network. Yeah,
absolutely. So in going back to being an athlete, how do you think your athlete brain prepared you for business? Like what discipline? If there's anything that you've thought about.
I think you could compare sport and business in a lot of fashions. I think that the main difference that in sport you get instantaneous feedback, whether it's from your coach, whether it's from your performance, whether it's from the media, you get instantaneous feedback. You don't get that in business because it takes a long time. You put your head down in any business and you don't know what's going to work for 2 or 3 years. You see some money come in and then you see some money go out and then you have your failures. But the one thing that sport taught me is that for business is that the harder you work, the luckier you become, and that the smarter you work, the luckier you become. And that you've just got to keep pushing and pushing and pushing, and there are no limits. Because in sport, you have to go push your body beyond where it can be. And in business the same. You've got to keep pushing that business to see, right, what can I achieve and what can't I achieve? So by minimising your dreams or making them quite small, well, your business will never go past that. Why not make them bigger? If you get close to them, then it's a better business. But then also, disaster or hiccups or problems are just around the corner. They are, the next day could be a bad day, and prepare for it, get through it and move on, and that you'll have massive ups and downs. So that's to me where sport and business comes in. And then also putting good people around you. Like the success we had at the Essendon Football Club, we didn't have success because we had one good player. We had success because we had a lot of good players who worked hard, had some great coaches, some great doctors, some great physios, some great myotherapists, and everyone played a role in being successful. And if you've got a business that's more than just yourself, put good people around you, and they don't all have to be the superstars, but the person who's, the accountant who's doing your books, make sure they're as good as you can possibly get, and you've got a great relationship with them. The operations person, a good relationship with them, because that helps you be the best you can be, and helps your business be the best it can be.
And I think that's what we talk about with the franchising model is it's almost being a mentor or coach to someone to help them reach their goals and dreams. And it's often people feel they're not successful if they reach out and get help or get a supportive network around them. They feel like they haven't done it themselves. But certainly from my experience in life, and I know from talking to you over the years, a coach is something you need, right?
Absolutely.
Without a coach, you're not weak because you have a coach.
Definitely
or a mentor. You're actually stronger because you realise the need to be pushed and and encouraged.
Because it's what I imagine as a myotherapist who's going into a franchise, they want to have their own business because they're good myotherapist, and they want to have a business around myotherapy. Now, their business knowledge mightn't be as good as someone else's, so they need to learn that. They might be a great myotherapist, but not a great business person. Put the right people around you so that you can become that.
Yeah, absolutely. And when we were talking before about as an athlete, you can experience some massive setbacks. One of the things that I've been really loving working with you recently is when I got a phone call from my son who follows you and he said, Mum, did you hear about James? And it must have been on the news that you were hit by a car, right? And my first thought was, oh my God, I hope he's all right. And I just thought, after everything, when you talked about before, you know, feeling down a well and things just hitting you, I was like, you can't get worse than being hit by a car. And my instant thought was, I hope you're okay. And I was so relieved when I heard that you were okay. But then my mind went into, okay, how's he going to deal with this setback? And just watching you and just being around you, it's inspired me to know that with your mental toughness, I've watched you come through that. And, you know, we joke in the room about running a marathon soon. But the day you said to me you'd only been post-surgery for 3 months, I think, and you said, I'm going to see whether I'm allowed to start running. And that was so inspirational to someone like me who'd been putting off running for so long because I wasn't good enough. My body didn't have any breaks in it at that point in time. There was no excuse for me, and yet there's someone like you doing that. So I just want to talk a bit about that. Like, how did you actually think you were going to run after being hit by a car?
Well, thank you for saying those nice things. I'm sure Tanya and my kids would probably have a different view of my recovery because they lived it every day, and it was, you know, lying in bed and saying, ringing the bell, can I have a drink? And no, it wasn't quite like that, but it was almost like that.
They love you because they have to.
That's right. But I think it was coming back from that injury, and you were very close to. I think I came in maybe 2 or 3 weeks after the injury. We started treating the area and started doing some treatment on it, which I didn't think we could do, but you sort of assured me that we'd do it. So that was wonderful because it was a bit of a mental release, but it was the same philosophy getting through to depression as actually getting through it, coming back to running here, and it is in sport. Do something. Just do a little bit. So the first run, I think, was a jog walk. It was a jog walk for 2 kilometres where I might have jogged 10 metres, walked 10 metres, jogged 10 metres, walked 10 metres. And suddenly my brain clicked in those endorphins, and that was really tough. And still, it's only been maybe 4 or 5 months since the operation. Still running's difficult, and I'm not running like I was, or not lifting like I was, but you just got to do something and set your expectations back a little bit. Now, I think for me it's running. For other people it might be cycling, for other people it might be walking, for other people it might be hiking, Pilates, whatever it is. If you haven't done exercise for a while, or you've had to have an enforced layoff, don't expect that you have to do what you used to do to get something out of it. It might be 15 minutes or something.
I just am still really, just really want to get into your head and find out how you actually, like when you were lying in hospital, did you think, am I ever going to run again? Do you think like that, or do you just?
I didn't think that. I thought at some stage, whether it be longer, whether it be not, I will get back to doing something. But as I said, I'm still nowhere near what I was pre the accident. But
I think you've run 7 kilometres.
Yeah, my ambition is to get back there, but it's also. My ambition is to be healthy, and it's not about the achievement of running 7, 10 kilometres. It's actually achievement about feeling good about myself, and that's a byproduct. So running helps me do that.
Okay, thank you. And one last thing I just wanted to chat about was there's a lot of talk. We certainly talk to our clients about it now. There's a lot of people walking around with a lot of inflammation in their body, a lot of gut issues. But really throwing down coffees every day to survive, and they get into this cycle, and then they'll have chocolate late at night and sugar to keep them going. How important do you feel, or did you eat really well the whole way through all this journey? Because it's something that obviously I've got a huge interest in, is mental health and inflation and pain. Do you feel I haven't. Like my diet
hasn't always been great, and I notice when my diet is better. Coffee is something that I drink far too much of, and if I can take myself off that, I feel better. Sugar is to me is something you should try and stay away from as much as possible. But it's all in moderation, isn't it? I mean, having a little bit of sugar at certain times and enjoying yourself. But I do believe that diet is a huge part of your inflammation and how your body feels. And if your diet's off because you haven't got the time to eat properly or prepare properly, maybe your life's not in as much balance as it needs to be. Now, sometimes you go through periods where you just can't avoid it. Your job's smashing you. That's what you have to do. But can't go on forever.
You wouldn't be driving through McDonald's, would you?
No, I'm not advocating. Sorry, I'm not advocating that.
That's what I mean. You probably have a higher. Well, let's talk about what you ate when you were an athlete. For some people that are out there training,
we started eating pretty poorly. We started as an athlete. You'd have 3 meals a day, and you'd have a couple of pieces of toast for breakfast. You'd have a big sandwich for lunch. And you'd have a massive big meal that it looks like Fred Flintstone would eat for dinner. But as we progressed, it became very much about replacing a lot of the carbohydrates, still carbohydrate, but with protein and a lot more vegetables, and eating more meals during the day and a lot more water. Now, that's not going to revolutionise diet. It's not going to tell people anything they don't know. But it just changed the way you were able to perform, and the fuel came at regular intervals in a lot more ready for the body to process. So there's a lot more shakes in sport, so the body can process it. But just looking at your diet and going, okay, do I really need to eat high carbohydrate, high sugar? And I'm not a dietitian, so I don't. I know that. I'll get lost somewhere along the line here, but it's pretty simple. Eat a lot of vegetables, some good low-fat protein, and drink lots of water.
So if there's anything you'd like to finish with today, on anything that you really, in terms of, you've talked about your family and the strong connection there and how important that is. Any insights to us at all about
I'll give you one insight. I'll give you one, and I think that you go through your life, and it sounds strange, but if you don't take yourself seriously and your body seriously and your mind seriously, no one else will. And you can achieve great things by not taking yourself seriously. But the moment you actually work out, okay, this is all I've got, that's all I've got, and take it seriously, you actually, people start to take you seriously as well. And I grew up in Canberra, young kid. Dreamt of playing footy, never thought I'd be able to do that. Dreamt of then doing a business course overseas, got that. Dreamt of having businesses overseas, now have that. And then along the way I've had an amazing family journey that have had a great connection with other people and my wife and my family. So, but through that have had some of the biggest lows that people can possibly have. I mean, I spent 5 weeks in a mental institution, isolated in a white room with only allowed to see my wife and kids. So I've seen some of the lows of the low. But life's great. Take yourself seriously. And life will take you seriously as well.
Well, thank you so much for your time. I certainly, as you know, have really loved getting to know you, and from working with you as an athlete to now, I just I don't want to say it. You mentioned before it wasn't something you wish upon yourself again, but I actually feel like it's really massively changed your outlook on things, and I think you have so much to offer the world as an athlete, and knowing and being amazing at what you were as a playing athlete, and just to offer other people, and I think it's a huge inspiration, honestly, that you never quit, and you're still here today, because there are so many other people out there that probably need to hear you and need to listen to what that if you can get up, because I often think about these people that are walking around that are suffering stuff in their own mind, they're not doing it publicly, right? No one might know how I'm feeling if I'm walking down the street with my head down. You're walking out there everyone knows your story. You can't hide from it. And to come back from that is you've got to use that as an inspiration to others. Because, but I certainly have loved treating you.
Thank you.
I hope we're not going to get any more car accidents in here. I think we're going to stay off the road for a while now. We're going to keep running, and yeah. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Sam, and good luck with the league.
Thank you.